Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today where we will be taking a deep dive into the Optimizer 3.0 launch. We did discuss this a little bit during our Latitude webinar last week, which I hope you all were able to join us. But today we have Darren with us who will kind of take us through full demos and give us a taste of what 3.0 looks like in comparison to the other Optimizer generations. So let me go over just a few Zoom reminders before we kick off. Just to remind everyone, we are recording this webinar, so you will have access to it on the Dell Client community site post-event. So you can access it on demand and look at the content at your leisure. Please remember to stay muted while we are presenting, but if you're comfortable, you can use the raise hand function and I will unmute you, and then we can access or ask a question live. You can also utilize the chat function as well. And remember to have fun, engage with members of your community, send them direct messages, and share with us where you're coming from. I could see in the chat we have people from all over, so great to have you all with us. A couple of event reminders coming up in July. We're going to have a security series, so be sure to look out for that. We did send a little bit of information there during our newsletter, which went out last week. So if you want to register, be sure to register, but we'll be sending more information as we get closer. And we are doing our referral program. So we will be sending out an email with that leaderboard. So by referring your friends and colleagues to these events, you get a point per referral. Remember, you cannot refer yourself, of course, and you only get 1 point per referral, so no duplicates. So we're definitely looking out for that. After this webinar is over, we'll be sending out an email with that leaderboard so you could check it out. And as you can see, we've got some great prizes. So keep referring your friends and colleagues. And as usual, we do want to hear from you. We want to know if these webinars are giving you what you need. So be sure to take our post-event survey so you can win a $25 Amazon gift card. We'll be sending out 4 of those for our survey participants. And of course, handing it off now to Darren Patel, who is our client technologist. We are all very familiar with him and love having you, Darren, on our webinars. So I'll kick it off to you.
So if you're wondering why I got a big smirk, Norman put me on the spot there in the chat, called out the Leafs. So yes, I could have said, hey, too soon, but no, it was a well-fought battle. I was actually in the audience for Game 7. As much as my heart broke, a lot of good hockey left. Excited for the next round, so I'll park that. So I see we got 63 people on, which is awesome. I know that number is gonna climb up. I did see in the chat we have some folks from Switzerland, so I think that was Carl. Good evening, my friend. I hope you have a glass of beer or wine or something to go along with my voice for the next hour. There was someone from Mexico, which is awesome. A couple folks from the US, and I definitely see some familiar faces and names. Thanks again for spending the time. We got someone from Dubai. Awesome. So this is why I love the community, and I can go on a rant for hours about this. If there's any brave folks that want to turn on their video, if you've seen me present before, I like to see faces. It reminds me of when we're all in person. But if not, no problem. I completely get it. So we're about 4 minutes in. Michael O, thank you for turning on your camera. I see you, my friend. Nice to see you. So with regards to the plan for the webinar, Todd, thanks for turning on your camera. Norman, you're going to come probably show me a jersey in just a few moments. You got a smirk on your face too, and I love it. So this is the thing that I love about the community, being able to interact like this. So let me get to the purpose as to why we're all here. We are here to talk about Dell Optimizer. It's an incredible piece of software that we have from a Dell technology standpoint. Norman's got his Detroit Red Wings card right in front of me. So again, there's this little bit of back and forth, but I love the banter. To anyone that's not used to me presenting, you're probably going to say, hey, this guy has ADHD or some kind of brain issues, but I promise you I don't. I love interacting with the audience, and as much as my jokes may sound corny to a certain extent, maybe in a past life I was a comedian or something like that. No, all jokes aside, let's jump right in. So we're up to 70 now, and I want to just do a quick survey around the horn. Um, who here has heard of Dell Optimizer? And if you want to provide some commentary in the chat, Ray, you've said yes. I just added you back on LinkedIn. Sorry for the delay there. Norman's using it, which is awesome. Shannon, yes. So I'm seeing a lot of yeses, which is great. Arnold's heard of it. Rudy saying yes. Let me make sure I can see the chat again. And let me pull up the participant list. Okay, we are good to go. Yes, using it to fix audio issues. Kurt, that's excellent. So I'm going to double click there and we're going to jump right in because you've put out a statement there. Does it have to do with plugging in an audio jack, Kurt? And feel free to use the chat. I welcome you to come off mute. Silence is golden. We'll address that when I get there, and that's fine. I don't want to wait too long. Okay. So Dell Optimizer is why we're all here. It's an exciting piece of software from Dell. Quick little reset on where it came to life. Before we converted Dell Precision Optimizer to Dell Optimizer, we had a legacy around using artificial intelligence and machine learning directly on the endpoints to improve end user experience. And we're in an era right now where end user experience has never been more important, right? All of you looking around the horn, maybe some folks are coming on camera or not, but I could say, hey, maybe you're in this hybrid setting where some days you're in the office, some days you're back at home, maybe you're working 100% remotely. And Dell Optimizer is really going to help end users. So first and foremost, one of my objectives after this webinar is for you to walk away learning a little bit more about Dell Optimizer. In parallel, if you're not including Dell Optimizer as part of your base image, if there's any folks that are responsible for the imaging and the management of PCs in your environment, please, please, please take a look at Dell Optimizer. If you do have systems that are compatible, and I'll touch on that compatibility, check it out and take a look. But without further ado, I'm going to start things off with just a quick little video, and I'll go on mute.
You're not like anyone else, and your PC should reflect it. That's why Dell Optimizer takes personalized PC performance to the next level. Because intelligence is in our DNA. Effortlessly protecting your work with a comprehensive suite of intelligent privacy features. Seamlessly delivering faster data and video downloads with the world's first simultaneous multi-network connection. Instinctively enhancing audio and reducing background noise. And automatically improving app performance. Dell Optimizer. We make it intelligent. You make it yours.
It's awesome. So in that video, you would have seen kind of a 50-foot overview on what Dell Optimizer is. Again, we're going to go through those components, how everything comes together. We had another version of this video that in hindsight, maybe we could have also showed that if there was more time, but it showed the coffee shop setting. And when I touch on intelligent privacy, I'm going to touch on a key example there and why that's really important.
You're not like...
and when you look at kind of the landscape that we're in with regards to everyone working from home, maybe there's this hybrid notion, but different users have different needs. You'll have some end users in your environment say, hey, I need snappy application performance. Whatever application I'm using, it needs to perform like no other. You could have some end users say, hey, I need longer battery life because I'm a marathon user, maybe working in a coffee shop, unplugging, plugging in, getting short stints of battery life. Then you may have people talk about connectivity where I need the most reliable connection. We're doing a lot of audio video conferencing whereby your connectivity is absolutely paramount. And then seamless productivity, whether it's using your proximity sensor, whether it's using intelligent privacy, using the chat, of the 4 options that you see on screen, what resonates with you? And Dean, you're on. It's great to see you. Thanks for turning on video there. You are in a Starbucks coffee shop, so hopefully, I don't think you're using a device with intelligent privacy. But if anyone's over your shoulder, make sure you give them a dirty look. Longer battery life. Brad, spot on, right? You're probably a marathon user. I know you're on the road a lot based on our previous conversations. So you need something that's going to maximize the overall use case. Michael O, you've talked about reliable connectivity, but I'll take it a step further. You're probably an individual that's hardwired via RJ45, right? Give me some feedback here. And you're saying yes, you're shaking your head. So in your scenario, you've put kind of the intelligence out of the hands of Dell, but we've got an exciting feature with regards to Express Connect that I'll touch on when we get there. But thanks for the interaction, keep it going. So Dell Optimizer is truly one of the differentiators from a Dell Technologies standpoint. It's how we're using artificial intelligence and machine learning directly on our endpoints. And I said a lot of buzzwords, artificial intelligence, a couple of years ago, everyone was talking about AI. What I will say is there's extremely intelligent people, way smarter than me, that have patents on Dell Optimizer, actual data scientists that put together Dell Optimizer and all of the machine learning models. So out of the 77 people that are on the call, if you're going to ask me a question, hey, what kind of forward propagation or back propagation is used in the Dell Optimizer model? Unfortunately, you've come to the wrong webinar. I don't have that answer, but I will say there is a super highly intelligent team that's put this application together. And really, it's all about the end user at the end of the day. So when we look at the different feature sets of Dell Optimizer, I'm going to paint a picture before we start talking about some customer examples and then talk about kind of the functionality there. But if you look at a typical day, and I may pick on my boss, Dean, who's on the call, because he is in a coffee shop and it's a great example there. But we'll start off at 7:45 in the morning. One of the first things that we do once we come out of the bed is probably check your phone, see what happened when you went to sleep and you woke up and caught up on news. There's a full mental health study around the impact of checking your phone, but we can push that aside. But 7:45 in the morning, Express Sign-In. You sit down in front of your system, probably you have your cup of coffee in hand and you want to hit the ground running. Express Sign-In is going to help you log into the device quickly, and I'll unpack some of the functionality there. 9 o'clock comes around if you're working in a particular time zone where 9 o'clock is a hot timeline for meetings. You could be using something like Intelligent Audio, Express Connect to help you with that audio video conferencing. By noon, if you're like Brad, who's on the road, maybe unplugged to go hit the road, see a customer, he's going to want to make sure that from 9 to 12, he had the maximum battery life kind of charged into his device. That way, when he unplugs and he's going to need it, he can hit the ground running. Intelligent privacy, I'll talk about that when we get there. And then at the end of the day, if you wanted to go look at how productive you were, if you wanted to look at kind of the performance of your system, I know if it's 8 o'clock, if you're Carl from Switzerland, hopefully you aren't checking your computer at 8 o'clock at night. But I know sometimes that's not possible. But if you are and you wanted access to that, Dell Optimizer can help with everything. So what are we hearing from our customers about using Dell Optimizer? Now, Dell Optimizer came to light many years ago. It started off in the Precision Workstation family. We decided when Intel launched their 10th generation processors, the Comet Lake architecture, there was a function called Dell Adaptix technology. And with Adaptix, we were able to get some hooks in to our data science kind of practice, and Dell Optimizer was able to marry that. And we created Dell Optimizer and decided that it was time to put it out towards the entire portfolio. So now we have options from a Latitude perspective. We have options for our Optiplex, for our Precisions, Latitudes, our Ruggeds, a lot of products that we have. So first and foremost, what are some of the customers that we've talked to that have been able to put some feedback there? We have a customer in Australia that's talked about Dell Optimizer and what it's done from a battery life perspective. We have a customer in Switzerland that's talked about Express Response and how that's really optimized application performance. We have someone in, I can't remember where this individual's from, but definitely a global customer whereby they've talked about the overall connectivity and things like that. And then we have a couple of folks from the US that have talked about Intelligent Audio and Express Sign-In. Really, at the end of the day, better end user computing and end user performance. So realistically, we are doing a lot. So Dell Optimizer, we now have launched Dell Optimizer 3.0, which is the latest and greatest version. I have a live demo planned, so I got a device over here. We'll switch gears, I'll unpack it, and we'll talk about that. But right off the bat, if you didn't know, I've been here with this audience talking about our rugged devices. We are the only tier 1 vendor with a full-blown rugged lineup. So what does that mean? We play in the same space as Panasonic and G-Tech, Zebra, but taking it a step further in the rugged devices that we just launched in December, we had 2 new products. You can use Dell Optimizer. So now we have our rugged devices also taking on Dell Optimizer. Intelligent Privacy has 2 features that I'll touch on. One is Look Away Detect. So in my scenario, if you're watching my camera, I'm collaborating with someone turned away. There's a sensor in the device that's going to notice that you're no longer staring. It's going to automatically dim the screen. So if someone's looking at your screen, don't worry about it. In the example of the coffee shop, if you look at Dean, he's in a coffee shop, he's got his background. But if someone creeps over his shoulder and Dean is too busy in the zone, focusing on the task at hand, he can get a pop-up saying, hey, there's an onlooker, and it's automatically going to block the screen. So now Dean can turn around, give the person a dirty look, say, hey, you know, what are you staring at there? But all jokes aside, we have an added layer of privacy. Express Connect is going to bridge multiple network connections and provide faster, better end user network connectivity. Intelligent audio is a really exciting one. It's all about filtering out some of that background noise. So say my daughter, if she wasn't in school, she was at home, she wanted to come into my office and start screaming, and I'm in a webinar setting or a customer meeting, I don't necessarily have to worry about that. Maybe if I had a dog, my dog was barking, if I had a baby crying, FedEx, Amazon, UPS, drop off a package, start ringing the doorbell, I don't need to worry about that because intelligent audio is going to filter out that background noise. And one of the more exciting features that come to life with Dell Optimizer 3.0 is this modular installation. Now, for a number of years, we've had customer feedback, both positive and negative. But one of the areas for Dell to improve was to find a way. We have customers that don't necessarily want to use the entire Dell Optimizer suite. Maybe they just want to use intelligent audio because their end users are plugging in a headset jack and they need to make sure that their headsets function. They don't want to install the full Dell Optimizer suite because it's perceived as bloatware. And I'm going to use the word bloatware. I could probably get a hand slap, but I'm using this in air quotes. The reason why is customer perception is key. If I'm going to blow the Dell image away, oftentimes I'm going to wipe a lot of that software. But one of the things you lose out, and we've had negative customer experience, is the modular installation of Dell Optimizer. So if you're buying any of the latest and greatest hardware, I plead with you after this webinar, after I show it to you, please just take a look, see if you can include that as part of your base image. Do some testing, see if it makes sense for the end users. And when you see the functionality, I'll hopefully paint that picture. But that's everything that's brand new. So starting with intelligent privacy. So I talked about the 2 features. Michael O has put a comment in the chat saying, Look Away is much nicer than it sounds. I have been running it for a few weeks. It saves battery life and works quickly. And I'm able to quote Michael because I know Michael, he and I have history. And I can put him on the spot, but I appreciate the feedback there. So what he's referring to is with Look Away Detect, one of the pieces is it's going to dim your screen. So Mike's talked about how it impacts battery life. Likely he could shake his head yes or no, but it probably has to do with the battery dimming, the battery preservation and the screen dimming technology. Yes, no, yes. So I'm spot on there. Onlooker detection, I know Dean said, hey, it works like a charm. We've done some testing there. Customers have started to get their units. This is exclusive technology that launched this year. So with Intel's Alder Lake 12th generation CPU architecture, if you are interested in using intelligent privacy features, you need to make sure you talk to your Dell rep saying, hey, Darren was on a webinar, was talking about this intelligent privacy feature of Dell Optimizer. Do you have hardware that has that included? We have to actually go and configure an EMSA camera sensor. So it's Dell Optimizer plus an EMSA camera sensor. So you have cameras in the device that make it come to life, that basically bring intelligent privacy together. We used to have, and still have, so I should probably not say used to have, we have Express Sign-In, and Express Sign-In goes back to our Latitude 7400 2-in-1. It was one of the first devices that I got a chance to play with that had this technology. But as you sit down in front of the device, it's automatically going to wake up. The minute I turn around and walk away, it's automatically going to lock. So Express Sign-In now has intelligent privacy features plus the IP plus Express Sign-In and the proximity sensor. So Russell's asked, what if you do want to show your person, what if you do want to show your screen to another person? Is there an easy override? And the answer is absolutely yes. You just have to toggle it off and it won't kind of blur your screen or do any of that. So basically there's a customization element within the system. So that is intelligent privacy. Keep the questions coming. Happy to kind of keep going here. Now, Express Connect is something we've done for a few generations now, but it really started off with audio video conferencing. So using Zoom, using Teams, it could prioritize bandwidth to the foreground applications versus the background applications. What it also did was if you were in a Zoom or Teams setting, it could prioritize bandwidth directly to the audio video conferencing app. So if I had Outlook open, in my scenario, I don't, because I am sharing my audio here and you don't want to get burdened with notification sounds. But in that scenario, it's going to prioritize bandwidth. So if you have multiple network traffic on your system, Express Connect is going to make sure you have the best experience, bar none. What we've also done with this generation on select hardware is we have a means to bridge RJ45 connectivity plus Wi-Fi connectivity to provide a very durable, very fast, one single network connection, which basically means end users get less buffering, faster data transfers, better performance, and better video quality. So how we do that, there is a network kind of bridge that overlays both. You do need a device that has a built-in RJ45 jack. You do need to be connected there. Then you need Wi-Fi connectivity in place, access points set up, and then Dell Optimizer can take some of that unknowns out of it. But Express Connect, something we are doing to make sure we have a better connectivity experience. Intelligent audio, I talked about the overview very early on with regards to the example of my daughter, you know, the doorbells, but it's using artificial intelligence, neural noise cancellation. So there's an algorithm that goes on. And when I do the demo, we'll walk through some of the different things there. And lastly, so when you look at Zoom, you look at Teams, you look at WebEx, they all have a layer of, you know, background noise suppression. You look at Dell Optimizer, it also does an element. There's nothing wrong with keeping them concurrent. There's, you know, you won't have any conflicts like that. But intelligent audio, depending on your setup, in my scenario where I have a professional audio system, I have a full mic in my setup here. I am controlling the audio piece. So I'm one of the sub 1% that doesn't have the typical profile where you're going to leverage kind of intelligent audio to the full extent. But there are end users that are complaining nonstop saying, hey, you know, there's too much background noise. This absolutely sucks. You know, we need to do things that can make our lives a little easier. Take a look at Dell Optimizer. It's something you want to look at. Now, I know based on the audience, we are up to 78, which is great. I can assure you there is probably 20 to 30% of you that build images. And if I'm off mark here, you know, give me some feedback in the chat. So a couple of things. I have action items for you. Yes, you came to a Dell webinar where the presenter is giving you action items, probably a first time ever. But I do want you to walk away. Please take some time, explore Dell Optimizer. It does sound like Darren's pleading with you guys. Unfortunately, I do have to because we get customer feedback saying, hey, I take the Dell factory image, I blow it away. Anything that's on there is bloatware. We want to break that perception. What we're also doing is the modular installation, going to make your life easier. So please, please, please take a look and check it out. So Optimizer is available across the portfolio if you've bought products in the last couple of years. Very busy slide, in hindsight, there's better. Well, this slide I personally like because it can tell the story. So if we start with Optiplex here, it's the 357. So if you know, Dell has a 3000 series, 5000 series, 7000 series. If you attended the webinar a couple weeks ago, Jessica Davila, she is awesome. She would have walked you through all of the latest and greatest. Not a trick question. Does a fixed Optiplex desktop have a battery in it? Yes, there is a CMOS battery, 2032 battery. It's not a trick question, but does it have a laptop battery? Hopefully you're shaking your head saying no. So because it doesn't have a battery, you're not going to see Express Charge. You do have the option for a Wi-Fi antenna, so you can use Express Connect. It will use Express Response. It will have intelligent audio. From a Latitude perspective, we have some nuances in our 3000 series, but our 5000, 7000, and 9000 series do have intelligent privacy options. Now, last week, you would have heard from Rack, Ben Conlon, and Michaela. I believe those three were on there. I'm probably forgetting someone else. And Kirsten, I see you're putting the webinar plugs there, which is great. So our Latitudes 3579, we have a ton of options with respect to Dell Optimizer. From a rugged perspective on our 5430 and 7330, I talked about rugged having Dell Optimizer, products launched in December of last year. And then precision, we have our fixed workstations as well as our mobile workstations. Absolutely unique to our precision portfolio of products is this analytics feature set. And I took some time this morning and I ran analytics on my mobile workstation here for a period of 4 hours. I had some applications open, so I'll walk you through what that report looks like and what the importance is with respect to Dell Optimizer. So in a nutshell, Dell Optimizer, a lot of different components. I'm not going to read this line by line because you're going to say, Darren, you're sounding like a broken record. You've said intelligent audio 7 times, Express Connect, Express Sign In many times, but there is a ton of value at the end of the day. So please, 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 let's make sure you're spending time there. So I'm going to stop sharing because now it's time to do a demo, and I'll stop sharing and I'll bring up this screen. So I'm going to spotlight this video just for a quick second. So you guys can see over here, there is no smoke and mirrors. This is a Precision 14-inch mobile workstation. If the Precision team has come and talked about all of the innovation, this is the first time ever we have had a 14-inch mobile workstation in our Precision 5000 series. This is a thin and light mobile workstation. Don't want to drop it. Reach out to your Dell account team. I am going on a tangent, but I love using this device and I'm happy to do a demo there. So Kurt, you've asked before we jump in and a little bit of Q&A, which is fine. Does the tool auto update to the new version? So tiny bit of a loaded question. You will get notified saying, hey, a new version is available. You do have to click update. From a centralized management perspective, you could push out that exe. If you do have a Dell account team, reach out to them. They may have one of our systems engineers help with some best practices. There's some collateral online under support.dell.com on how to do that, but tiny bit of a loaded question there, but hopefully I addressed that. Arnold, you've asked me another loaded question, which is fine. Will analytics come to Optiplex and Latitude lines in the future? Now, I will say no. And the reason why I'm saying that is we need to create some differentiation within the portfolio. From a mobile workstation perspective, where you need the faster performance, the optimal kind of view on analytics, we've reserved that for our precision workstations. We are trying to get that unlocked for our rugged devices. There is no timeline there. Don't quote me on it saying, hey, we can do it, we can't. But with respect to Optiplex and Latitude, it's a lower priority. We don't have a lot of customers asking us for that. But right now, if you care about analytics and you're a power user, maybe we need to have a broader conversation on your applications, your use case, and potentially look at moving you into the precision portfolio. So your Optiplex desktop could actually be better fit with a precision workstation where you have additional brand tenants, whether it's thermals, performance, GPUs, memory, storage, the list goes on. From a Latitude perspective, our Latitude 5000 series shares the exact same chassis as our Precision 3000 series. Now, what I mean by that is you could move to a Precision 3000 series because you're going to get better thermals. You know, the thermal tables, CPU, GPU concurrency, much higher on a precision product. You're going to see better the actual thermal materials, the compounds, all of that is different when it comes to the precision, especially with the 3000 series. And also for the first time ever, you know, you have a 14-inch in our 5000 series and a 14-inch in our 3000 series. So without further ado, we'll do the quick demo. I promise you we're giving you time back today, which is great. I told Kirsten that we weren't going to fill up the full hour for a change. You can come hear me speak for less than an hour. So I'll remove the spotlight. I will pull up this and we will get cracking. So make sure. So on screen, you're seeing that. So let me spotlight my video now, my other video, so you can see me and hear from me. So hopefully this looks side by side. You can see me in full frame and you can see the Precision 14-inch over here. Kristen, can you just give me a nod? Yep, so it looks good. Awesome. I see some thumbs up and some head nods. So Brad, you're on version 2. Time to get to version 3. So 3.0. whatever. So if you go in, you'll be able to update it. If you go to support.dell.com, search your model number. If you download Dell Optimizer, you'll be able to update that. So on screen is our Dell Optimizer application. So right off the bat, you launch it for the first time. You are going to see the console with, you know, because this is a mobile workstation where I have a battery in it, you're going to see the power function. Because I have presence detection, whether it's intelligent privacy, you're going to see that. From a network perspective, applications, analytics, unique to precision. So we'll start off on analytics. So analytics is one of the fun things that I personally love. You have a means to do workload analysis. So if I was running the report for 1, 2, 3, or 4 hours, I can see how my system performed. So I ran the report for 1 hour just this morning. So again, no smoke and mirrors. I wanted to do this fresh. But now you can actually see what's going on with my CPU. So in that time, I saw peak CPU roughly about 51%. So my boss on the call here, you could say that, hey, I pegged this system at 51%. Maybe I was working at half of my capacity, not 100% of my utilization. Because I'm using a mobile workstation, I have better thermals, better headroom. But oftentimes what we see from a Latitude perspective, your CPU could be pegged at 100% utilization because of Teams and Zoom. So now I'm able to chart that out and see what happened there. The top bar is actually your temperatures. So at no time did I cross, I'd say roughly 60 or so. So you could chart out what's going on with CPU and temperature. From a disk utilization perspective, I have an NVMe drive in here, so I'm able to see, hey, where was my read? Where was my write? What was the disk temperature? And then I can see memory utilization. I got as high as, roughly about 50%. And then GPU utilization, I'm not running anything GPU heavy, but I was a flat 0. But if I was doing any type of work there, you can chart all of that out. From a system analysis perspective, you can take it a step further. If I wanted to look at this for a longer period of time, you are able to see some details on the device, manufacturing dates, asset tag, how many hours, what your service life is. You can look at the storage performance. You can look at CPU performance. You can look at average utilization of the individual cores, of the individual processors. So with Alder Lake, as you pull on this hybrid core architecture, I know it's a mouthful, you get way more analytics. And from a memory perspective, my average paging size was about 8%, but you can pull different workloads, studies and whatnot. So for our power users, Precision Mobile Workstation, you have great kind of analytics at your fingertip. And then system diagnostics, if you wanted to see a little bit more, you can pull some of that reporting. I'm going to push this off to the side because I saw a couple of questions in the chat. So Todd's asked, hey, will Dell command update optimizer? Yes, there is a slight lag between Dell command update cycles whereby it pulls the latest and greatest. If it doesn't prompt you just yet and you wanted to do it out of cycle, head over to support.dell.com, search Dell Optimizer at your model number, and you'll be able to find that. Edwin, you said, ya está instalado cuando se compran máquinas nuevos. Unfortunately, I can't understand that. If someone Spanish speaking wants to.
He's asking, Darren, he's asking that when he's purchasing new devices, is Optimizer already installed?
So thank you for the translation there, Kirsten. I appreciate that. Gotta love global webinars like this. So two things, Edwin, let me know if you need translation. I can put Kirsten on the spot. I'm sure she won't hate me too much if she has to translate. You can try. So in short, yes, from Dell factory, if you have purchased anything in the last 2 years, it will come installed with Dell Optimizer. But if you blow the image away, i.e. you format your C drive, it won't have Dell Optimizer installed if you don't choose to put it back. I think I was slow enough, but basically you have to make sure it's there. Chris Miller, you've asked a great question. My Latitude 7390 doesn't seem to be supported. That is correct. On your Latitude 7390, that is a couple of generations old. If my memory serves correct, you have an 8th generation processor in there. So Dell Optimizer will not work. It got introduced in the 10th generation. So your 7300s, if you have any, your 7310s, your 7320s, and your 7330s, you can use Dell Optimizer. But it's something that does require processor technology. So that's why, unfortunately, it's out of scope. But we'll go back if there's no further questions. And Edwin, my friend, just let us know if we need to put Kirsten on the spot, and I certainly will do so. She's laughing right now, but she may not laugh if it continues. So from an application standpoint, it's all about end user performance. So you toggle that, prioritize foreground applications. So if you have stuff in the foreground versus background, Dell Optimizer, you toggle that, it's going to give performance benefits to your applications that are visible there. From an application standpoint, you can customize up to 5 applications. So my system's in my hands. I've got the number 5 up here. Think about Teams, Zoom, PowerPoint, Excel, Chrome. I could select 5 applications. It's going to learn the behavior and optimize the system performance there. If I wanted to add an application, It's going to pre-populate some of this. So I have VLC installed, Spotify. I had Serato DJ on this for a short period of time. We were doing some testing. So in this scenario, not a whole lot of applications to choose from, but in your environment, maybe you have way more than this. But if you had an EXE, a homegrown application, I can now search that EXE, select that file, click open, and it can crank out better performance for your homegrown applications. So something to think about. We get a lot of customer feedback saying, hey, we love this. This analytics piece and this application optimization came to life with our Precision portfolio of products. We had Dell Precision Optimizer. Then we had a version that had AI optimization where you had a fee. We took that all away and we said, hey, end users can really benefit from this. So express response is great. So Norman, you said this is another reason to tell my sales monkeys not to sell 3000 series. That's music to my ears, but we do have, some folks on here that have really tight wallets or constrained budgets where maybe they need to standardize on 3000 series. But I love that you are starting at 5000 and higher. Music to my ears, but again, there is a place for the 3000 series, but I'm glad it's not in your environment. So from an audio conferencing experience, now this is the fun stuff. So background noise, we've talked a lot about that. I provided the example of my household here with my daughter, but I can toggle out, it's gonna remove background noise. What we did with Dell Optimizer, have you ever been on a conference call where someone's mic is live and they start talking, their baby's crying, their dog is barking? What intelligent audio can do if your mic is live and their mic is live, it can now filter out their background noise from your conferencing experience. So you don't have to wait, say, hey, so-and-so, can you go off mute? It's automatically gonna have the intelligence to figure that out. So something to think about as you start using Dell Optimizer. From a 3D audio conferencing experience, if you're using headphones like Brad, I can pick on Brad because Brad knows me. He's not going to hate me, but he's got headphones on. If I toggle 3D audio, my voice is going to sound better. Brad's probably going to say, hey, Darren, you sound pretty awesome. Audio device pop-up, if you use that notorious 3.5mm jack, if I get my left and right, so that's your 3.5mm jack over there. I plug it in, pop-up says, hey, have you plugged in earphones? Have you plugged in a headset? Have you plugged in a loudspeaker? This is that pop-up that gets enabled. One of the biggest things we heard from customers, and I talk to customers all the time, they said, Darren, you sold me these systems and my audio jacks aren't working. What the heck is going on? Your Dell is not performing up to speeds. Oftentimes I have to ask, hey, did you blow Dell Optimizer away? The answer is often yes. You do need to use Dell Optimizer if you are using your 3.5mm jack, and I did it again, this guy right here. Reason being is there's an audio driver through Wavesmax Audio. There is a handshake that basically gets that port to start talking. So if you go back to modular installation, you don't want to use the full suite, just install the audio driver, you're good to go. You're going to be happy with Dell again, and the devices are going to be working. So going on to networks. So network connectivity, so simultaneous data transfer. So if I'm connected to two networks, RJ45 and Wi-Fi, this is going to do the bridging. It's all automated. You don't see it from an end user perspective. Conferencing, bandwidth performance, that's going to do this prioritizing of foreground applications and prioritize bandwidth there. Automatic network switching. So this is where if I have, say, a 2.4 or 5 gigahertz network, or if I'm in an area where there's multiple access points on different devices, if I have multiple Wi-Fi networks configured in range, it's automatically going to find the strongest Wi-Fi network and connect there. So now you're not going to see the pop-up saying, hey, my internet connection is unstable, or on Teams, your network is or there's a network quality issue. This is going to help with some of that, just making sure you have the optimal network connectivity at times, all seamless to the end user. I'm going to pause there because Norman's asked me another question. Is it smart enough to pick up, to know not to pick my HDMI monitor that doesn't have a speaker? I wish it did. I just plugged this into an external display that did have a built-in monitor speaker system, and you do still have to manually select that. That's unfortunately controlled at the OS level, not necessarily at the Dell Optimizer level. But food for thought, you know, something we can take back as feedback. You know, I hear you, Norman, it would make life a lot easier. So you're probably going to start shaking your head or say, give me that thumbs up or smile. And I think you smiled. So you gave me the thumbs up. So that's great. From a from a power perspective, and we're about 15 minutes left, so that's great. This is all about battery life and applying the right profile. So if we go to Brad's example, and I'll put Brad on the spot again, just because I like picking on people. So Brad had said in the chat a little earlier, hey, Darren, I need the longest battery life. So with Dell Optimizer, what the Express Charge features are going to do, there's a couple of things here. A couple of years ago, well, not for a couple of years, probably for multiple generations now, we've had a function called Express Charge. As you plug in your device, it's going to suck up the most amount of charge in the shortest amount of time. We then created Express Charge Boost, which would give you about 30% battery life and about 15% charge. And it's just gotten so much better that in the shortest amount of time, you are going to get the maximum battery life. So that's Express Charge really in a nutshell. Adaptive battery performance is all about, you know, seeing how your end users are using that device and really providing the optimal battery runtime. So in Brad's example, where he's a marathon user, it's going to work with him to know, hey, do I need full brightness? Because there are things we can do at the OS level to help optimize that. Dynamic charge policy is all about applying the right battery charge policy to your device. So I said battery charge policy twice to explain Express Charge. So you're probably saying, Darren, you haven't really clarified anything. So I'll pause there and unpack that. If you think about the pandemic in the last couple of years, if I was in a auditorium where all of you were listening to me talk, and I were to say, how many of you have left your home office, kitchen, patio in the back in the last little while? Some people may say, hey, not very often. I'm probably tethered to AC power 90 to 100% of the time. Now, what Express Charge can do with respect to Dell Optimizer, it's going to apply a AC heavy battery profile. So it can actually protect your battery health. If I'm a marathon user like Brad, constantly charging, discharging, it's going to apply the right profile to get you through the day. So that is all about the power functionality. And there was a couple of comments in the chat. So Mike said SD-WAN comes to PCs. Absolutely. That is Express Connect in a nutshell. Chris Miller has said, to confirm, is the network utility able to team the network connection, or does it choose the fastest ISP? So it does team the network connections, but key call out, you need to have an RJ45 jack plugged in, and you need to be connected to Wi-Fi networks. Now, it's probably a subset of end users that do that, but that is the network teaming piece. Your second part is, does it choose the strongest signal strength? So if you have multiple Wi-Fi networks configured in range, the bottom functionality is going to be that network switching, where it's going to find the strongest network and connect there. So definitely something that you can take a look at. Demo, if you need seed units, you know, reach out to your Dell account team. They love to put a device in your hands that does have Dell Optimizer 3.0. So Russell, you've asked, hey, can IT centrally preset or change configurations? Right now, that functionality is currently out of scope. Based on my understanding, I'm not, you know, the most technical when it comes to the centralized management pieces. I do see some familiar names that are on here. I could put Cheryl on the spot if she was okay, if she has kind of any commentary that she can put in the chat. But basically, you know, from an express response perspective, you can copy the profile and apply it, but it's not something you can, you know, cascade out to multiple devices. It is some piece of feedback that we have heard that we do want to see if there's any possibility there, but it's really all about the end user at the end of the day there. But hopefully that addresses it. Something you can play around with, Russell, as time comes. But the last piece that we need to talk about is presence detection. Cheryl said, hey, you can essentially manage the, oh, okay, so I've misspoke there. I just don't know if it's the full feature set. Cheryl, I don't know if you have capabilities to come off mute or want to, but if you don't mind, if you want to put any commentary in the chat, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but Kirsten, maybe it's a follow-up call that we have with the community, maybe a deeper dive on the management piece, and we invite maybe one of my colleagues from a sales engineer perspective to come on board and kind of unpack that. So the last piece is presence detection. If you're looking right off the bat, hey, Darren, why did you disable that? For my live demo, I didn't want to have my system lock. I'm a pacer, I move around, so I didn't want to do any of that. So onlooker detection, that is if someone's over my shoulder. With that toggled, I can texturize my screen or no effect. It's also going to display a message. If I want to turn off that message because it's a nuisance, you can do that. Don't worry. Let me go down slowly. Ask me before applying the screen effect. So if you wanted user intervention before it texturizes, toggle that button. I don't see why you'd want that for the most part, because ultimately, the more automation, the more you leverage the AI capabilities, the better. Snooze timer. So in my scenario that I just said, where I know I'm going to be moving around a lot, I just set a snooze timer for 30 minutes or more. Select a drop down and you can keep it enabled or turn it off. Look away detect. That is, if I look away to the side, you're able to dim the screen, lower the brightness, and help preserve some of that battery life. Again, in my scenario, I turn that off. Walk away lock. So if I move out of scope because I'm collaborating with someone, heading out into my kitchen to get a cup of water, get a coffee, my system can automatically lock because the sensor is going to denote that I'm not there. If for whatever reason the sensor doesn't function, your lock timer can toggle, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, or 2 minutes. The last piece is wake on approach. Now this is that express sign-in functionality. So with that toggled, as I sit down in front of my system, it's automatically going to wake up, automatically log me in. And that's basically the facial recognition pieces. And then special use case consideration is if you have your notebook open and you wanted to still use presence detection, i.e. the look away detect or onlooker, you can toggle that and it can still work. You do need to keep the lid open because there's camera sensing technology. If your lid is closed, none of this is going to work. If you're trying to use Windows Hello and using an external webcam and express sign-in, unfortunately, right now, Windows 10 has a system limitation where you can't configure multiple IR cams and set the preference. It will take priority to your external webcam, but it's not a seamless, flawless experience every 100% of the time. So one of the things that we're continuing to look at is to see how Dell Optimizer can evolve to enable some of the additional functionality. But with that, my live demo is done. I wanted to go through the high-level overview on Dell Optimizer 3.0. We talked about the hardware. We talked about kind of the functionality there. I'm going to stop sharing, so you're going to see me now full screen. I will stop spotlighting my video, so I'm back to regular size. But right here, we got 6 minutes left. happy to address any questions. Otherwise, 5 minutes back on your day, and we take it from there. Kirsten, over to you, my friend.
Yeah. It looks like we have a question from Kevin. I don't know if you were able to answer that. He's asking what systems monitoring systems work for server user today. I don't know if you were able to answer that offline or while I was.
Kevin, are you asking about the infrastructure side? How I interpret the question, I think the answer is yes. So there is a function called Live Optics. Now, I'm not an expert on the ISG side of the house. I'm your client guy, so I can talk about the endpoints, but I believe Live Optics is a way to get some analytics from a server perspective. But something, reach out to your Dell account team, the ISG team, our infrastructure team could probably walk you through some functionality or feature sets there. But good question. Sorry, I'm not the right person, unfortunately.
It looks like
no
Kevin
problem.
just went off mute. Kevin, do
Yeah,
you
no
want
problem. I'm
ahead.
just wondering how to use from edge computing to our users. Do you understand? So
Yeah,
I know there has to be more than a flow of just, the user side, correct? So
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to get a basis on what we can use to monitor the systems. Thank you.
yeah. So the edge computing space, again, if you have a conversation with that team, I'm sure they'd love to give you some options. So as part of the edge is also the back end. If you're talking about kind of the cloud there, Live Optics, take a look at that. There's some really cool functionality there. On the endpoint, public service announcement, the optimizer models all unpack data directly on the endpoint. When you launch Dell Optimizer for the first time, there is a function to opt in, and it goes to Todd's question. Maybe that was a lob toss, but I was reading your mind there. You said, does Optimizer send any data back to Dell? And if so, what data does it send? So great question, what I'm addressing right now. So if you as an end user do not opt in to send anything to Dell, we do not receive anything. There is no way for us to communicate with the endpoints. If you do choose to opt in, one of the things we can collect is battery management usage. We get to see how end users use the device from a battery life perspective, get to see what happens from an end user perspective. We take this intelligence and make our models better. Express response, AI-based optimization, there's some data that can come back, but you as an end user, as an organization, have to opt in. So if you want nothing sent to Dell because you don't want to help us create future further enhancements, no problem. I don't blame you. Security is very important. You don't have to opt in, and boom, we don't see anything. But it's very limited data. It's all encrypted. There's, a full practice to make sure that nothing really, we can't see anything, what applications you're using. We can't see what's going on at the OS level. It's strictly to what functionality we see from a DO perspective. Hopefully that answers it, Todd. But we got 2 minutes left. I said we were going to end early. Kristen, I know I said last week, hey, I'm just going to need, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, but keep the questions coming. Otherwise, hopefully this was helpful. As always, appreciate the support. We only had 2 people drop off, so that's a good sign for me. But, reach out to your Dell account team. Brad, I saw that you installed 3.1. Thank you for that. Play around with it. Chris, thanks for the feedback. You called it a show. I'm humbled by that. If it's the comedy hour or me interacting with the audience. Brad, thanks again, great session and great info. So I do want to, eventually get back on the road, see some of you folks at the next conference, if there is one, or, eventually we will get back. So John, you've asked 3.0 is the current version. 3.1, I haven't seen the latest version. It could be 3.1 something. And I think if you just go to support.dell.com, you search the 5750, you scroll down, you select Dell Optimizer, you'll get the latest version. But the latest version will be on there. Chris, yeah, Indianapolis, as we get back on the road and it makes sense from a business case perspective, happy to come on. Renato, I see hello from Brazil. I apologize. I butchered the Spanish there. As you can see, Spanish is not native to me, but you probably speak Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. Maybe you speak Spanish too. Maybe you speak both, but you know, bom dia, if I said it correctly. Bon dia. I said it. I butchered it. Damn.
Yes, I definitely tried with my Spanish there. Edwin, I hope I was helpful for you there. We were DMing a little bit in Spanish, but anyways, I love how we said we were going to end early and we're right on time right now, but that's just what happens when we have Darren, you bring out everyone's questions. So really want to thank you. Want to remind everybody to participate in our post-event survey. We'll be sending that out through member services, but I also have it in the chat right now. So please take that and you could potentially win a $25 Amazon gift card. But thanks all so much, and we'll see you again next time.